Hey everybody, Austin back again, continuing the Sega Master System Let's Play Marathon for 2014. This is Altered Beast. Oh, Altered Beast. I love the arcade version of Altered Beast, and as, much as I hear people saying it was a bad choice for a pack-in for the Sega Genesis, I still love that game. And it's even the Genesis version. I know it's not arcade perfect, it's lacking lots of color and so forth, and it's not quite the arcade version, but it's still good. The Master System version, on the other hand, man, it's a really tough cookie to recommend. It's Altered Beast in form, and it has a lot of what makes the arcade and Genesis versions pretty cool, but it's so choppy. Like, I hate to start the video off on a negative note, but Altered Beast is, on the Master System anyways, wow, look at this, just chop, chop, chop. And it actually gets worse as the game progresses. The farther you get, when there's more enemies on screen, and some of the bosses, the game literally runs at like 2 frames a second, which makes some parts of this game extremely difficult. And as I've said multiple times throughout this Let's Play Marathon, I make no guarantees at being able to complete this game. I can complete the arcade version with relative ease, likewise with the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive versions, but the Master System version, on the other hand, I have only beaten once, and it was really almost by sheer luck, because the frame rate gets so bad, it's so hard to actually control the game and play it. Playit. It gets so tough to actually control the game due to the frame rate. And had the frame rate been better in this game, this would actually be a pretty solid version of Altered Beast. But as it stands right now, it's really a tough game to recommend, especially with how common the Genesis version of Altered Beast is. I mean, if you have a Master System, you really have no excuse to not have a Genesis and the Genesis version of Altered Beast. I mean, geez, a Master System itself is more expensive than Genesis these days. So, I mean, it's just easier to have the better platform and version, the Genesis. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, it's really tough to recommend this version. And I don't really recommend it unless you're planning on collecting or something like that, because there are better versions available. I mean, heck, the arcade version of Altered Beast you can actually get on the Sega Genesis collection for, I want to say PlayStation 2 version has it, and you can also get it on, well, if the PlayStation 2 version doesn't have it, it's definitely on the Sega and Sonic All-Stars, not All-Stars, but I'm thinking of the racing game. It's on the Sonic and whatever Ultimate Genesis collection for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It's also on Xbox Live Arcade, possibly PlayStation Network as just a straight download for like $5. So yeah, lots of better ways to play Altered Beast these days. So with that rambling out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. One of the great things, and by great I really mean that quite sarcastically, is Altered Beast was originally a 3-button game in the arcades and on the Genesis. The Master System, on the other hand, well, you've only got 2 buttons. Because they had to slap the reset and pause buttons on the system instead of on the controller, you're stuck with just 2 buttons, which means one of your functionalities, or one of the core functionalities in this game, has to be accessed by pressing both buttons together. Double Dragon style, if you will. And that is pretty much jumping. So you have to press both buttons 1 and 2 together in order to jump. Now apparently there is a super jump in this game as well, and you have to do that by holding up and pressing both buttons together. And it can get a little cumbersome and clunky. As you can see, once more enemies get on the screen, it becomes a very choppy experience. Here's my guy walking back and forth in a very choppy manner. So Altered Beast is on the Master System. It could be really tough to play. So for those of you guys that have not played Altered Beast, the goal is to destroy these white Cerberus beasts. Now Cerberus is basically a 3-headed beast, dog sort of thing from hell or something like that. And destroying the white ones that jump out give you these power orbs, and they pretty much power you up. In the arcade version and Genesis version, you have to power up 3 times, I think, before you get to this form, your Altered Beast. In the Master System version, it's actually cut back. You only have to get 2 orbs to get to your final form. So there you have it. It's actually, technically the levels can be shorter in the Master System version than either the Genesis or arcade ones, but just because it takes less to actually power up doesn't mean the game's any easier. Because starting at level 2, maybe level 3, it gets extremely difficult to actually hit those Cerberus beasts in order to get your power orbs. Now I wanted to make a quick note. If you notice here in this boss fight, it is completely black in the background. And there's no music or anything for this boss fight. It's just silent and black. Now I'm sure they did this to get all the detail possible in for this boss and get the reddish color without conflicting with the background and so forth. And to just make everything run a little bit better. Although it's still pretty choppy. But keep that in mind for another boss fight later on in the game, assuming we actually get to that part in the game. But if we get there, I'll describe it once we get there. And yeah. So here we go, at level 2. We're doing pretty well. I don't think I really got hit seriously in that last level. One thing I did want to note is that in Altered Beast you have punch and kick, and you can duck and punch, and you can sort of kick upwards as well. Not the most useful attack. The reason I wanted to note this is that, unlike the arcade version and the Genesis version, your ducking punch is actually the best attack. It has the greatest reach, which is great for these beasts that give me my my orbs. Kicking, on the other hand, is less useful than it is in the arcade version. See, in the arcade and Genesis version, kicking was actually the best because you had more reach when you kicked. In this version, it's actually kind of the opposite. I mean, yeah, you have a little more reach versus regular punching, but you have a lot more reach by ducking and punching. So what you really want to do in this game is duck and punch. Although my dude's too big to really attack some of these guys, which is kind of ironic. I'm too big to hit these small enemies. I'm like Arnold. And I just died. I suck at this impersonation. So, alright, there we go. The snakes in the, or the dragon snakes, or whatever you want to call them in the arcade and Genesis versions, you actually have to hit them in the head in order to take them down. In this version, you can just hit them anywhere, which is kind of cool. And they sort of break apart in that black belt style. Like, if you guys saw my black belt Let's Play, you will have seen the enemies just sort of like break into little blocks and like go away, which is pretty cool. And it almost sounds like they're using a variation of that same sound effect when these enemies break into little pieces. Except it almost sounds like it's doubled or something like that, or it's thicker, but it's very similar in how it was executed. So I've got one life left, and Altered Beast on the Master System, unlike a lot of other arcade-style Master System games, you actually have continues in this game. Although it's not quite clear to me how you continue. Yeah, it's just not quite clear to me how you actually continue. Which, once I actually have to continue, I'll explain to you what I mean. Which might be very soon because of these eyeballs. Oh, what? Really? Seriously, man. See, in the Genesis and arcade versions, your secondary attack is this, like, sort of lightning blast. It just emanates from you. In this one, it's just like you change colors and that's it. So, the usefulness of the attack is just, it's not nearly as useful as it is in the arcade and Genesis versions. Which is sad. Which makes some of these bosses a lot more challenging. I have to sit here and blink like an idiot in order to survive. Alright. So one thing to note is if you're familiar with the arcade and Genesis versions, or Mega Drive versions, there is no level 3. Or I'm sorry, I should rephrase that. The original level 3 has been chopped out. So we are technically going straight to level 4 now. This would be level 4 in every other version. It would be level 4 in every other version that's worth a damn. And this is really where the game starts to get a lot more challenging. Enemies start to take more hits. Oh, really? Oh, I missed the one I needed. And that's what sucks about this level. Is they mix it up, they throw 2 beasts on the bottom, and then they throw a third one on the top. And everything is just a real pain in the ass if you're not powered up. Like that. I mean, you get tapped by another enemy. And apparently I just continued, and all I did was just wiggle the controller back and forth and press a bunch of buttons. So honestly, I have no idea how to continue in this game. Except that by mashing buttons and rotating the D-pad, you will probably get the continue function. I don't know if it's just buttons I have to press, but it's not clearly obvious. It doesn't say like press A to continue or press button 1 to continue. It just says continue. No question mark or anything. It's just like, okay. I hope this works to continue. Okay, so essentially what happens is if you don't get enough orbs, it takes you to the pre-boss enemy onslaught where it's just the screen stops scrolling and it's just a bunch of enemies bouncing back and forth, spawning from the screen, sides of the screen, sorry. And then the Emperor guy or the Warlock or Demon, whatever the hell you call him, I don't even know what his name is, the big bad guy in this game. He comes out, he's basically like, oh, you're not a beast, screw you. And then walks away and you have to pretty much do another section of the level again, hoping you can get another power orb. So here he comes. He's like, yo. What's up? Oh, never mind. He just like walks off the screen like, okay. The same thing happens in the Genesis and arcade versions as well. So technically, if he appears and you're a beast, you fight the boss. It's as simple as that. Now, I don't know where the beasts are going to appear from. I don't know if they're going to appear above or below, and I don't want to be above in case they do appear above, or in case they do appear below. I want to be able to jump up if they appear above. They're probably going to jump above. Let's see. Thank you. God. I hate having to play through these levels without my full power. Because as you can see, you can shoot up and down, which makes this level a hell of a lot easier. And you shoot a funky projectile that goes up and down in a really, really, really choppy manner. Look at that. It's like struggling. It's like, oh, I can't get across the screen. Oh, oh man. Like I said, guys, man, the Master System, I think it's a great system. But if there's one thing for sure, I wish Sega focused less on arcade ports of games that the system clearly wasn't capable of doing. Afterburner is the same way. The first Space Harrier is the same way. This is the same way. Outrun is the same way. It's just like, Thunderblade to a degree. At least Thunderblade, they changed up to fit the system's strengths a little bit better, at least in terms of the top-down sections. Altered Beast, on the other hand, it's just like, whoa, look at my firepower go. It's like, so choppy. And it just, you know, it might have been semi-acceptable back in the day. People might not have noticed the choppy nature, but it just makes the game not hold up well at all. The other versions of Altered Beast play fine. Like, people complain about the Genesis version, but at least it plays well. It runs smoothly. I don't think that version ever slows down. So it holds up well today. It's still a solid game that I do recommend playing the Genesis Altered Beast if you can. It's a fun game. I like it. Altered Beast itself isn't for everybody. That's for sure. I think that should be a given, but I've always enjoyed Altered Beast. Maybe it's slightly nostalgia talking, but there is enough game here for me to enjoy it. You can't just spam your way through the game. Well, in some cases you can, but for the most part you actually have to know what you're doing in order to beat Altered Beast, which that to me makes for a good arcade game. So, or a good game. So, here's the boss. If I remember correctly, this dude is a little tricky. totally just ducked and... Oh, I was ducking, man. What the hell? The second I landed, I was holding down, and he just, like, stood there. Like, hey, I'm hot. Like, I'm a man dude with a tiger head. And he's just like, I could take this fire that's coming from this boss, and it eats away, like, 2 of my hit point boxes. You lose life really, really quickly in this game, and so it feels even more dissatisfying when you get hit. Not that getting hit should ever feel satisfying, but you should never feel guilty for getting hit. Or just feel... I'm sorry, you shouldn't feel angry for getting hit unless it's beyond your control. And in Altered Beast, on the Master System, a lot of times it's beyond your control because of how bad the frame rate is. And I'm betting you another one of these guys is... Oh, come on! Shit, stupid gargoyle flying... fuckers. God damn it. Alright, so this is the final stage, everyone. This is... technically would be the 5th stage in the other versions of the game. And this was actually probably the hardest level in all those versions of the game. In this version of the game, not so much. It's actually, I think this level is easier than the last level we played. Which I'm not complaining about, because that last level was a pain. Oh, shit. Come on, man. Oh, come on! Let me continue. Oh, I couldn't continue before he disappeared off screen. See, that's the kind of crap I just don't like. They're like, hey, here's the guy you need. Let's just pile a ton of enemies on you when you have no power-ups, and so you can't really even deal with it, and you get hit, and... you know, you end up having the credit feed because the game is just stupid on its own. We've got jump-kicking midgets. Those guys are full size in the arcade game, by the way. They're not, like, half the size of me. What's up? Blah, blah, blah. Alright. As you guys can tell, I'm kind of getting bored already. I was not actually... I have a shelf full of Master System games in the order I want to cover them in for this marathon, and half of them are cartridges. So with how I have them lined up, I can't see the name of the game until I pull the cartridge out. So when I went to do this Let's Play, I pulled it out and it was Altered Beast. I was like... I was like, this is one of the ones I really did not want to do, but I was like, hey, I'm going to do it anyway, and get destroyed. I think that's it. I don't think I can continue anymore. I think I did. Okay. This is probably my last continue. You do get limited continues in this game. And why the freak are these guys such a pain? They wouldn't be such a pain if I had gotten at least one orb, but they've pretty much been screwing me this whole time by piling on tons of enemies before I can even get the orb. Now, I'm probably going to die here. Nope. I managed to manage my way out of that, luckily. I thought they were going to just come straight for me and destroy me. Give me an orb. Give me an O for orb. No! God. This game sucks. You hear me, Hell? This game sucks. If this is what hell is like, then I have no idea. I was going to try to say something funny, but I'm not that good. So, I think this game sort of revolves around Greek mythology a little bit and like Hades and stuff like that. I want to say, like in the arcade version, the guy that summons you, I want to say it's Zeus. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be completely wrong, but I'm pretty sure it revolves more around Greek mythology than any modern thought version of hell or something like that. So, mythology. That's one of the things I've always liked about Altered Beast, though, is just the theme. I've always liked games that are based around, like, Greek mythology. And I think this game does it very loosely, but one of my favorite games out there for the NES is Battle of Olympus, which is based completely around Greek mythology. It's a really, really cool game. It's not a straightforward platformer like this. It's more of an adventure like Zelda 2 Adventure of Link, but that is one of the things I like about Altered Beast, is it brings that element of mythology into it. So this is the part of the video where I'm going to ask you a question, and I sort of brought this into play with my last Outrun video. And I'm going to destroy it. I'll go ahead and talk about it now, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether you've played any iteration of Altered Beast before, and if you have, what are your thoughts on it? Do you like it now? Is it still a good game to you? Or are you one of those people that just think it's sort of best left in the past? You know, was it a bad Genesis pack-in? Or how's the Master System version to you? What I'm most curious about is European folks. Because PAL systems ran at 50 hertz, whereas the NTSC systems run at 60 hertz. And if this is this slow in 60 hertz, I can't imagine how bad it is to play this in 50 hertz on a European set. If any of my European subscribers are out there, please respond and post a comment. I really want to know how bad this game plays out in your region, because it plays really bad here. And if it runs a percentage slower in your region, then oh man. Oh. Alright, let's hope I can actually do this, because I think I'm running out of continues. I'm surprised it's still letting me continue. Oh, come on. It went out of the screen? Are you freaking kidding me? It was supposed to come to the left, not the right. This game is stupid. I know I say that about everything I start failing at, but that was just retarded. Like, really freaking retarded. In every other version of Altered Beast, the orbs, they pretty much move to the left. They don't veer out to the right. And like, this orb had about a split second inside the screen. I tried to punch it, but it doesn't obviously register my hitbox outside of the border of the screen, which is disappointing. Because if it did, I would have collected it still, even though I couldn't see it. So now I have to go through yet another section again. And we're at the 25-minute mark. What's up? I've got no hair. What? Oh, you gotta be freaking kidding me. What the hell's happening here? This isn't supposed to happen. Are you serious, dude? It's making me fight him without my beast form. I've never seen this in any version of Altered Beast. I don't think it's going to let me continue. Yeah, that's it. What the hell was that? I have never seen that. If you guys... Oh, man. I might have to try one of the other versions of Altered Beast and see if that's even a possibility now. Or if it's just like a glitch in the Master System version. Like, it doesn't know to go on long enough. Oh, man, that was odd. If you guys have done anything like that before in the other versions of Altered Beast, let me know. Because that was really interesting. That's the first time I've ever seen that in an Altered Beast game. I was always under the impression that you could only get to the bosses if you were in your beast form. because that's the only time the boss has ever appeared for me. But it's never taken me 2 or 3 times to, or 3 or 4 times, sorry, to get to the boss in the same level. Like, I missed the white Cerberus beast multiple times. Yeah, that was really weird. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here with that. Sorry I couldn't complete the game, but I wasn't expecting to anyway. As you could see, Altered Beast on the Master System, it's a rough port. I mean, it's kind of like Golden Axe on the Master System, or Space Harrier, where I think they were really trying to bite off more than they could chew. At least in terms of trying to keep it as faithful to the arcade as possible. What they could have done is done like an NES version, or NES-like version, where they just, all the sprites were completely shrunken down, but the general gameplay was still there, sort of, but it didn't really look like Altered Beast. Same gameplay formula, but, you know, tiny characters, but everything ran smooth and fast. Unlike this version, where it tries to duplicate the arcade feel, and it's just so slow. It's really tough to recommend. I mean, it's definitely a curiosity. It's mildly entertaining if you can get it cheap, but it's one of those games that's probably going to cost you $10 to $15 for a complete copy, and that's not really worth it, in my opinion. You can just buy the Genesis version for the same price, which is a much better game, and has obviously better sounds. It sounds more like the arcade version, and looks more like the arcade version. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here again. Thanks again for watching. I'm going to be continuing this Sega Master System Let's Play Marathon in a couple of days. We're not even quite halfway through yet, guys. We still got a lot of content to go through. So stay tuned, and watch out for some more Master System Let's Play videos for the rest of July. So until next time, guys, take care.